Hello everyone, I'm Nick. I decided after a long time racing with the Ultima SC6 to make a video and share my experience with you because this track was made for dirt, I suppose, but we're running it on Astroturf. So it's been a journey to reach a point that this track plays the way I wanted it and races the way I want it. I've been racing this class for about a year and a half now. It's very fun. We got a good friends racing together. Most of the cars in my class are the Ultima SC6. We got a couple of Lossies and hopefully a Techno will arrive soon. I'm gonna see how this works. So my biggest problem and the most trouble I had with this track was the durability, because Astroturf is a little harder than dirt, in my mind at least, and we had a lot of parts failing. Most common issue with this track is the problem with the idlers, and I have some solutions to those problems now. Finally, after almost a year of trying and tweaking and making modifications to this track, I finally am able to race without having to worry about an idler breaking in the middle of the 5-minute run or any other parts failing. So this is my track. I've named it Kyosho Ultima YZ2 because I've used a lot of parts from my Yokomos. I'm racing the YZ2 and the YZ4 as well. Now I'm going to talk about the modifications I've done for durability on this one. So, modification number one for me is to use bigger ball studs. On the top of the C-hubs, you need to get the long ones and use these ones. So pretty much anywhere that there is a Camberling or the Ackerman here, I've used the longer ball studs because it has better fit and it won't rip off the plastic. Another modification, if you want, on the back here, between the CVD and the hex on the track, it has aluminium washers. On the front though, they're using, for the same position, plastic ones. Replace those, put the aluminium ones to the front, because I had one, get flat after 2-3 runs, and I had to, stop and rebuild my car and find a way to replace that. Also, for peace of mind, I have added the front backhead and the rear toy plates, the C and D blocks. I've used the Road Dog parts, they're very nice. The RB6 ones work just fine for this track. So this track is famous for killing idlers. I've seen on forums that people have complaints that it lasted 2-3 races. Racing on Astroturf, it was barely making the day. An idler, a plastic idler, would barely make it through the day. So I used to run the transmission with 4 gears, the mid configuration obviously, and it was a pain in the, So we tried many things. All the guys with the Ultimas, we were trying to fix this problem. So at first we said, okay, let's go to 3 gear. We changed to 3 gear. Even this would be, the idlers would be killed after 3-4 batteries. I've lost 5-minute runs and qualifications due to idlers, so I had to replace them midday just for peace of mind. Then we did something that Kyosho says not to do, like we used the aluminium idler directly, so it was idler shaft, aluminium idler, and then the differential. So this works better, but after couple of weeks it ripped the whole thing, so I had to throw away an idler shaft, an aluminium idler, and the gear differential. So problem not solved yet. So the other solution we figured was to run the slipper really loose. So a friend of mine right now is running the slipper really loose, and so far no broken idlers. But you cannot push the track the way you want on Astro, because you need to take advantage of the grip and all the qualities that Astroturf offers. So my solution for that was to convert my SC6 to a laydown setup in order to be able to run it 3 gear, lay down, and use the big idler in the middle. So after 25-30 batteries, pushing this track to its limits, no problem at all with the idler. So I have one for backup, and I'm racing this weekend. And when I opened the transmission for maintenance, I did not see any reason to replace it yet, so I'm very happy because now I can push the truck the way I want and not to worry about idler giving up mid of the 5-minute runs. In order to put a laydown transmission, you need to get the laydown parts from the RB6.6 and drill 2 holes right here. It's not very difficult to do it. You need to take very good measurements to make sure and tap it and make, the thread and everything. But for me, it took me 1 hour to take the perfect measurements, drill the holes, fix them, and it's amazing, like a glove. It fits very well. If you have the aluminum from Revolution Design, the C block, you need to Dremel it down so the lay down can rest on it. Or you can use the plastic and Dremel it again, but I prefer to keep the aluminum parts because I had them, not any other reason. So I had to Dremel this down a bit to make it work for me. Also, another very important factor when dealing with idler durability is the viscosity of the differential fluid. I'm running gear differential. This truck comes with ball differential, but for Astroturf, I'm using the gear differential. More on this topic later because it's a very, very important maintenance issue on this truck and maybe I think all the Kyosho line of off-road 1/10 vehicles. So now that we have basically covered durability for Astroturf, it's time to talk performance and setup. So big issue with this truck is that with the stock suspensions, you cannot go really, really low, like below 22 millimeter. I'm running right now at 20 to 22 because I have used Yokomo springs. It's the green ones on the back and the black high performance, you can see, at the front. And I'm using the associated thingies here to make it, to give me more tuning options like for the height, because with the Kyosho were really low. Biggest performance modification was the laydown for me. So this one is the best thing you can do to run on Astroturf or high bite trucks. It's amazing the way the car handles, it's fantastic. I forgot to mention before, I'm running 2x1.6 pistons in the front from Yokomo and 2x1.7 pistons from Yokomo in the back, and I'm running 600 and 450 CST in the oils. Also a very nice performance upgrade for your shocks is using those Rudog shock adjustment rings, nuts, whatever, because it gives you more sleeve here for the shock spring to slide on. You can see here I'm using 2 brass plates from Rudog and have a sortie inline. So you can also cut, the side guards and the chassis and make it sideways. But I've seen that on the track I'm racing, it has a very fast S part that I like the battery inline so it doesn't roll too much, so it keeps it flat. For me, that's what it does. So let's talk about tire selection and wheel selection. Kyosho makes those awesome rims that fit the Shortcore 6, obviously. But for me, they have a very important issue with Astro. If you have seen a cutout, you can see they have a stepped design like this. It goes like this. So what this does, it allows the tire to go in. So when you're cornering this way, it goes in, so it creates too much traction at the front and at the back. So I was using these rims with yellow Schumacher Stagger ribs, and it had too much front traction. The steering was crazy. Boop, you could almost do a rollover or a traction roll at every corner if you were not very careful. So how I solved this? First, I took the Proline Renegade rims that they're not stepped, they're flat, and you can see that they cannot be squeezed as much as the Kyoshos. See this great difference for steering. And On the yellow Schumachers, I had to Dremel down the whole outer line of ribs, and now I'm using the Schumacher blue, the blue compound. So by using the blue compound, which is harder, and using the Renegade wheels that are flat and not stepped, I have calmed down the steering of the car tremendously, and I can have fast steering response without it being, easy to roll over or do traction roll. So this was a very important part. And I'm also using Renegades in the back for the traction roll on the back. So it solves a lot of problem. It makes the car handle flatter through the corners and not roll so much and making it slow in order to take a turn. So now the car is faster and it turns flatter. And also I've seen that the blue stagger ribs are giving the car a better roll. I've seen this at EOS race using the RT6. Everybody was using blues at the front. I was used to using yellow ones, and a guy there, Zach Libar, told me use the blue ones because it has better roll. So in stock class, it's amazing the difference the blue versus the yellow does for an RT6 or the Sulco 6. So I definitely recommend getting Reb, J Concepts, I don't care, a wheel that is not stepped like the Kyosho. Running on dirt is a whole different beast that I'm not experienced with, so for Astroturf, use not stepped wheels with hard Aka red insert. Another very important change I've made during this year is that I changed my team set. I had a team set body with a Proline flow deck. What a great difference. This one is lower and you can rest it flatter on the body, so giving you the weight distribution goes towards the lower end. It has amazing holes for the air to flow, so when you're doing a jump, the air will not parachute as much as with another body or any other body I've tried personally. And this one has an amazing paint job by Sick Paint. My friend Lee did this one. So for weight distribution, I've opted for, I've tried to get everything to the center. That's why I'm using the brass posts for the battery, and it handles very good. I've actually never tried getting anything in the back. I never needed it, and I have found that with long battery and not to lay down, it was performing better than using a sortie. So now that I don't have the space to use a long battery, actually I have it, but I would have to mount my electronics on the separate post here. But now I'm running weights and a sortie battery in the center, so this gives a very balanced feel during jumping and driving. A very important factor, as I have found with Kyosho cars and the Ultima SC6, is to build differential the best way possible. I cannot stress this enough, they're very setup sensitive and maintenance sensitive vehicles for me. I have a very good friend that is racing with a Kyosho RB6. He's always having his vehicles on point and never had an issue, never had something breaking, not performing correctly. For me, that I'm a noob, I thought that the car was not very good because every little problem that I haven't, corrected during maintenance, it shows during racing. They're very sensitive cars and you have to deal with that. So, building differentials. So if you not go out and buy the $75–80 bevel gears and satellites, you'll get stuck up with this type of satellites. If you open a new package of this and you build your differential and you close it, you do everything correctly, and you feel that they're jamming a little, back off the screws and rebuild it. What you have to do, take a sandpaper and try to smooth the edges that might appear on the back of the crown gear. I don't know if you can see it, but sometimes out of the mold, or I don't know, they're very rough, so they will bind and not perform correctly. Another part that is very weak in the differential is those washers. The ones that go on top of the O-rings and the pin captures them. So these ones bend and become a little cone shaped after a while. So if you do not replace or maintain those in correct shape, they will bind the differential and it will not work properly. Believe me, I'm always replacing these after a month of using the differential, and I'm rebuilding my differential after every practice and every race. So these ones, as you can hear, they're doing a noise. They are bended, and these are not very bad bended. I had ones in there cone shaped and the car wasn't performing, and I was, why it does not perform well? I've done everything properly. So these ones are very sensitive. So take good care of your crown gear and your satellite gears by sanding the back a little bit to make them smooth, and replace those washers as soon as you can, because those affect the performance. If you do these things correctly, they're buttery smooth. The differentials work amazing. So let's talk a little bit about setup. I'm going to post my setup sheet in the section below the video, the info, I don't know what. So run the front as wide as you can and the back as wide as you can. So I don't know what the rules are at your track or your championship, but we don't have very specific rules about the width of the car. So I'm running the most, the widest possible front and back. I have my caster laid back as much as I can to smooth out the steering input. Central weight distribution, I've talked before. And for me, the most important part was to soften the steering a lot, but not to the point that I will not be able to go fast around turns. In short cross class, the race is not won in the straight line, it's won in the corners and in the jumps. So for this track, I'm stocking some parts when I go racing. What I have always with me is a suspension arm set, front and rear. I'm having, you know what, I'm going to tell you all the things I have. I have some shock O-rings. I have an idler with me, the big one, because I'm running the laydown. I have a front and a rear tower. I'm having front and rear wheel shafts, the CVD part on the back. I'm having a spare gear, obviously. I'm having some ball ends for the suspension. C-hubs, 2 packages, and 2 packages of front knuckle sets. That's all that might break in any car anyway, so I have those with me to have peace of mind during the races, because we don't have instant support for this car in my track. So my thoughts about the Ultima SC6 track. It was not built for Astroturf, but if you're stuck with it, you can make the best out of it, and it actually performs really well. Right now it's performing better than some of the 2017 losses and 2016 losses, and many of my friends that use the Ultima SC6 have tried my setup, and it works for them as well. So we're getting better times now. We've tried all the things possible with this track, obviously, and now it performs the way I want it. All the Kyosho cars are very setup sensitive and maintenance sensitive. What I mean by that, you have to take care of the car. It's not like I have 2 Yokomos. I can race them, take them back home, not touch a screw, and then be back on the track the next weekend, and it will take a lot of bidding to need a rebuild to perform the way it's supposed to be. But the Kyosho needs to be set up properly and maintained properly. On the other hand, it's very nice to have such a sensitive car in terms of you tweak something and you can see instantly in the track the difference it made for the driving and for the whole handling of the car. So it's maintenance heavy, but it gives backs on the track as far as performance goes. So it's a balanced situation, yes. So thank you so much for watching this video. I've been meaning to do a video for this track for a while, but I'm glad I did it now, because I think I've reached to a point that it doesn't get any more tweaking. Of course it gets, but for me, I'm done with this track. This year, when I finish the season, I think I'm going to stick with 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive. So I wanted to share those tips with you and help a friend out, and share it with your friends that have Ultimas and racing on Astroturf. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do a YouTube channel, because I enjoy this process very much and I like to share my passion for this hobby with anyone, basically. So I'm open to suggestions. Ask your questions in the comment section. Let me know what you liked or you didn't like about this video, and if I decide to do anything more or more basic stuff, I would be glad if you guys let me know what I could do better, different, or ask me questions about the car. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you on another video if I decide to make one.